Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
You should ask yourselves two questions. Who is Johnny Watson?
I have been a Beatles fan since I was in my mother's womb.
Who is Joe Conte?
I have been the biggest Beatles fan since December 2019.
Together, they are the No B-Sides podcast. Two comedians talk nothing but the Beatles.
Here they are.
Welcome to the No B-Sides podcast. I am Johnny Watson along with
Joe Conte. That's me.
Yes,
Oh, wait, you're over there. Wait a minute. You're over there. No.
I am over here, Joe.
You're over there. There you go. I'm sorry. Because I'm looking at myself.
No,
yes, I'm sorry.
wrong way.
I'm looking at myself in the mirror, so it's hard to tell forward and backward. Oh. This is cool, man. The inaugural No B-Sides podcast.
Yes, I'm very excited for this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Two of us going to be talking about the Beatles and why we like them, what's going to happen with them. So very exciting.
Yes, what's going to happen with them? Yes, they're reuniting next week. We have the inside scoop on it. Yes, they're reuniting.
We're going to dig John and George up and put them on, prop them up, and we're going to have a reunion.
Yes, it would be a weekend at John's.
So,
No,
Joe,
listen,
this is going to be a lot of.
I think so. I think it'll be fun. And listen, this is Johnny's brainchild because Johnny was the one that came up with the name. Tell him how you came. Well, first of all, Johnny Watson, tell him who you are for people that don't know who the hell you are.
Okay, I am Johnny Watson. I am a stand-up comic and a big Beatles fan. And just that's it, man. You know, podcasting, Beatles podcast, which we're going to really enjoy doing. And the No B-Sides, I came up with the name because there are no B-sides for the Beatles. They're all A-sides. Because you know how you have on a 45, like an A-side and a B-side? And usually the lesser song would be on the B-side. But there's really no lesser songs for the Beatles.
No, there isn't. Like any of those singles that they put out back in the 60s, the B-side was just as good as the A-side.
Yes.
So Johnny was like, the no B-side, there's no B-sides. And he was like, that'd be a great name for the podcast. And now you've been a Beatles fan forever. And well, tell them how you became a Beatles fan. Because listen, my name is Joe Conte and I'm a comedian also. And I think this came about doing this podcast because And I'll just say, because I have the more interesting story about being a Beatles fan. No offense, Johnny, but mine is a little bit more interesting.
Absolutely,
yours is more conventional. You heard the Beatles when you were young and you fell in love with them, right?
Well, my mother was the one who started me. My mother has always been a huge Beatles fan, and so you know, growing up in a house of music, it was mostly Beatles in the house.
Right.
And so my mother's like the one who started, but I love your story. You crack me up with your story.
It's so weird. It's the weirdest Beatles fandom story I think ever. Now, I was born in 1969. And so when I started listening to my own music in the early 80s, when I started listening to my own music, not what my parents were playing, I was a metalhead. I was a metalhead from Jersey. I started listening to Ozzy and Dio and Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and, Black Sabbath and all of that. And I was a metalhead. And look, I got older. Right. And of course I started I DJ'd. So I was DJing club music and house music. And then in the 90s, as you get older, your music, it becomes more eclectic. You start to, widen your scope on music.
Sure.
And so now I was never a Beatles fan. I knew Beatles songs, obviously. Right. My cousin, who's a big time musician, he's been a musician. He's always been a huge Beatles fan. And he would play Beatles songs when we were kids. And I just didn't really care because I was like, no, that's not metal. I don't want to hear it,
Right.
And, so in 2000, in September of 2019, I'm a kind of a dates person. I'm a kind of a savant with dates. I can't do anything else, but you can say, you can ask me when a movie came out and I'll tell you when the movie came out. So
I'm a
I was
savant
on a,
with dates, but we're talking women.
oh, I thought, I thought you meant the fruit. I thought you meant you were more of a, I
No,
love eating
it is
dates.
more with the fruit than it is
Yeah,
more
yeah.
with the fruit.
Yeah. You like eating dates. So did Jeffrey Dahmer. Hey-oh. All right, I'm sorry.
Hey-oh.
So in September of 2019, I was on a plane, and I don't like flying. I've never been big on flying. So the movie Yesterday was on. That
Great
movie. Yeah, great movie with the Indian dude from England. And if you're listening to this podcast, you know the movie, okay? And I thought it was a cute movie. I love those sci-fi-ish time travel, even though it wasn't a time travel movie. And so whatever. And a couple of months later, my part-time job that I do, I'm in my vehicle, all morning. And I remember, because around Christmas time we get very busy. And so I remember being in my vehicle, and I don't know why I did, but I was like, I don't know, what am I going to listen to today? And I was like, oh, what am I going to listen to? Metallica for the 8,000th time, And I was like, and I don't know, but something just went in my head. And I said, you know what? I'm going to give this band, the Beatles, a shot, right? They've been around. They're pretty good, right? So let me give this band the shot. And the way I have to do things, I said, okay, I went on Amazon and I said, I'm going to start with their first album, and I'm just going to go through and go from the first album, second album, all the way through until I get to their last album. And because their albums are so short, it was like I went through the 12 albums in like 3 hours, it's quick.
Right.
And I went back and I started listening again, and then again, and then again. And I estimated from December of 2019 until August of 2020, because in August of 2020, my wife took over the Amazon account. So I couldn't listen to Amazon in my car or anything. And so that's when I went to Sirius XM and I started listening to the Beatles channel. But I took an estimate, and I estimated that from December to August, I put the Beatles in they were two different bands. It was the first 3 or 4 albums, and then from Rubber Soul on, okay? And Rubber Soul, and then Revolver, and, Magical Mystery Tour, and all that. I estimated that in listening to the complete albums from December to August, from Rubber Soul up to Let It Be, I estimated I listened to each album 250 times.
Wow.
Each one.
Wow.
And the first 4 albums, I probably listened about 150 times a piece.
Wow.
And I just listened to the Beatles for 2 years straight, listening to basically nothing else.
Yeah.
In 2 years, I listened to the Beatles more than probably any other band combined. Like,
jeez.
At least every other band like I listened to them more than I ever listened to Metallica, all of them. It didn't matter. And so I just became this obsessed person with this band. And then, of course it just gave me and Johnny, because we've been friends for 20 years through stand-up.
Right.
It just gave me and you a different opportunity to talk about something else.
Sure, it was great too, and I remember, still to this day, our car rides, whenever we go somewhere together, it's constantly Beatles on. It's us singing badly, but yet singing along, and having a great time with it.
Having a great time with it, and I think that's where. And I don't know if it was you. I think it was you said, you know what, dude? They do a podcast for everything. Why don't we do a podcast about the Beatles? And it would be different because we're not really musicians by any means, so it wouldn't be this like, I find their chord progression in Penny Lane to be blah blah blah. It wouldn't be that. It's just two fans who are comics, so we're two fans of the band and we're comics, so maybe we'll just have a little fun with it. And
absolutely.
And I was like, you know what? Let's do this. And then, of course, the network, 100 Proof Podcasting, I do my own podcast on here, the Conte and Kenny Show. And I asked them, and they were like, dude, yeah, record it and then put it up. And my producer, Shawnee from my show, he's the one that's helping us put this together. And we're going to, yeah, man, Shawnee is, he's awesome. He's young. I don't think he was born even when I guess when George Harrison died, I don't think Shawnee was born yet. I think Shawnee was born in 2001 or 2002. So,
oh man, wow.
But so it was like, let's do this and let's have some fun. Listen, I said it's going to be more of a short form podcast. You know, we'll do whatever. We talk about a couple of things, and bang, boom, and we'll be on to the next one. And so I think that would be fun to give this a shot. Look, there's a podcast for everything. I do a podcast about the Honeymooners. That's a 70-year-old television show. Why not? The greatest band of all time. I don't know. I think it's I think it's worthy.
I love, Joe. We're still learning a lot about the Beatles from like the other podcasts, which is great. So we're going to have a great time learning and giving our information that we're still learning, because there's so much to the band to learn that we don't even know yet.
Yeah, and it's going to be, listen, Johnny has a great theory. He's got some funny theories on why they broke up, and we're going to do a lot of that. It's going to be fun, somewhat of a short form podcast, and then look, if this thing builds, maybe we can do a live show on YouTube one day.
Absolutely.
And we can have people, join in and hang out, and we can all chit chat about the Fab Four, as they say.
Hello. Yeah,
I'm part of the Fab Four. But now you've been a fan since you were a kid.
Yeah. Yes, I have been.
Yeah.
And it's been, it's funny, like you listen to the all the albums, like, so many times. I used to listen to the Red and the Blue album over and over and over again. And that was my favorite two albums, were the Red and the Blue albums.
Well, because it was almost like it was like a timeline of the band, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And but I've just started listening I've been listening to the White Album a lot now. And I love that album. It's become like one of my favorite albums. And it's just really enjoying that. But I used to listen to Red and the Blue album all the time, probably, as many times as you have in listening to, all the albums together. And that's, and that's how many times I've listened to that.
Yeah.
So, that's been my thing. I love it.
Yeah. And I just think, because obviously we'll get into like our favorite songs, favorite album, because that was the thing that when I first got into them, all right, that first year and a half or so, I just did nothing but talk about it. Even my wife, my wife has older siblings. Like my wife is around my age, but my wife has older siblings. Like her next older sibling is 16 years older than her. So even though she's an only child, even though she's one of four, she's basically an only child. But she was influenced by the Beatles from when she was a baby because of her older siblings.
Wow.
And even my wife, after like the first year and a half, it would be like, my wife was like, honey, I'm Beatled out. She would say she's Beatled out because I'm just like, hey, you want to listen to, Magical Mystery Tour? It'd be like Friday night, we're home, whatever, we're hanging out. She'd be like, all right, I've been listening to this for 50 years. This is all brand new to you.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm still going to tribute bands. Whenever I can find a tribute band that's playing local, I love going to it. But I like going to the actual tribute bands, so the ones that dress up like the Beatles. I know there's a lot of great tribute bands that sing their songs but don't sound like them. But I love the ones that look like them and sound like them.
Yeah,
I really enjoy going to that. That's a lot of fun.
I went to one. I think they were called Rain.
Oh, Rain is great. I just saw Rain not too long ago.
I'm not sure, but I like them. The guy, they look like the guys.
Yeah.
The guy who plays bass plays lefty. You know what I mean? Like they really, really nail it. And and it was, of course I was like, I gotta go see this, because I'm one of many that never got to see them live because they stopped playing live. But
That was,
and then of course I got, and we'll definitely delve into their solo stuff too, because
sure.
when I started listening to, because I would listen to Breakfast with the Beatles,
Right.
and then that's when I would start hearing some of the solo stuff that I never knew, and it was like this other world open up with. And look, I knew, listen, I know Wing songs and I know some John Lennon stuff and George Henry, but to hear the stuff that you don't know, and you're like, wow, there's just really, really good stuff.
I know we're going to get into it, not today, but I know we're going to get into it. But I can't wait to talk about Ringo's solo career, because here's a guy that didn't get enough due probably with the Beatles, and here went on to have a great solo career. I can't wait till we talk about that.
Absolutely, without a doubt. So, I mean, like I said, this is just more of an introductory, letting you know, and then I'm not sure if this is just going to be on YouTube. I guess we'll have to talk to Shawnee and see, because I would like to put this also out on, as an audio thing too, because look, there'll be some video aspects, but this will be mostly about the sounds and I think where so you can get it on Spotify and Podbean and Apple and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk to Shawnee too and see about getting that up. But
I love it.
Listen, I'm pumped about this. This will be my what is this? My 9th podcast. I mean, I'm just doing something. What
king of all
podcasts?
podcasts.
He calls me the king of all podcasts.
The king of all podcasts.
Well, that's what I tell people. I said, me and Kenny, who we do our Conte and Kenny show. I think we have the world's record for doing the longest podcast without making any money. So our record is still intact. In fact, when we started, there wasn't even the word podcast yet. We were doing online radio. It was online radio.
Wow,
so, but this is going to be fun. I love the logo. I love the name. I don't like my co-host, but I love everything else about it. Hey-oh. But
we can fix that.
All right. Well, what do you think? I think that listen, I think it was a pretty good little introductory to let people know.
I think it's a great introduction to the show.
And after they hear this, they'll know. They'll be like, yeah, you know what? I'm interested. I want to check out and see what these guys have to say. Or they'll be like, this was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And, c'est la vie, whatever it is. But I feel good about doing this, man. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Very excited about it. And like you said, we're going to just have a great time with it. It's short form, so it's going to be in and out, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I think that's it, right? Shawnee, what do you think? You want to we have outro music. And of course, our outro music is going to be the end. Yeah, because that's how clever we are. But it's a cover. What's the name of the band that covers this? The one that you sent me?
I forgot.
I forgot too, but
I forgot.
Yeah, whatever. Shawnee, if you want to play the ending music, and we can skedaddle out of here.
Yes. And, we'll see you again.
All right, awesome. Tell your friends, any of your friends that are fans of the Beatles and are just looking for something different to check out. 2 comedians speaking nothing about except for the Beatles, and that was my pal Dave Ingram, who did the introduction, who's a rock star out in England. I mean, in Europe. So
what a great intro he did.
Yeah, he's fantastic. All right, a lot of fun. That's it, right?
That's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, guys. Hopefully you'll check. Yeah, listening and watching. All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Have a good one, and hopefully we'll play for you again.
Absolutely. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Johnny.